Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 50-Day Property Challenge brought to you by the Enterprise Development Property Fund and Private Property. Today, we wrap up the entire 50-day challenge because we are now at the end of week 10. We'd like to thank Jared and Matt L for their engagement with us and the process that we've run through these last 10 weeks, where we help them to purchase, for Jared, in Jared's case, his first property, but in Matt L's case, her third and even fourth property. As you have seen in the previous sessions, Matt L is now finalizing her third and fourth property, and Jared has already taken transfer of his property, which was a bit unexpected because actually during 50 days, we don't really expect you to take transfer yet. All we really expect you to do is to decide on your strategy, go and find the deals, make the offer, raise your capital, and then wait for the transfer to happen. But because Jared actually had his funds available, he was able to actually take transfer during the 50 days. So congratulations to him and congratulations to Matt L for being at that stage now where she is finalizing her third and fourth deals already, and hopefully in the next couple of weeks she will also take transfer. They are still in the program for another 3 more years, and this first part of the program, the 50-day challenge, was really just to test their mettle and to see how quickly they can start their portfolio. So yeah, we've decided today, instead of wrapping up with Matt L and Jared, because we've already done so with them, we decided today to bring some of our students into the 50-day challenge to see where they are at in their process and where they started, what they wanted to do, and how long they've been on the program and what they've achieved thus far. So I'd like to welcome into the room today Mark Quickfall, Dwayne Duplessis, Yolanda Eli, Brent Letchett, and Kanisile Makaya. So the first question that I'm going to ask, and we'll start with Mark, we'll move on to Dwayne, Yolanda, Brent, and then Kanisile. How long you've been on the program, and when you started the program, what did you expect from the Enterprise Development Property Fund? Mark?
Hi, Nigel. I started in 2019 and I thought I was going to get a house for free. Didn't turn out that way. It takes some work. Yeah, so I started in 2019, and as I told you before, I'm not leaving. So I don't know if I'm supposed to say that for this video, but you've got me for life now, eh? Partnership for life.
No, that is for sure. So you and I have had that conversation, and I think it probably is echoed throughout the entire student body of the Enterprise Development Property Fund, that once they start with us, that they actually never want to leave because of all the support that you guys get and all of the fundraising opportunities there are within the program. So you've been with us since 2019, but unfortunately because of COVID, you haven't graduated yet because you haven't completed the entire course, even though, as far as I know, you've already bought your first property. Am I correct?
Yes, 100% correct. We're in process now of a couple of more, but I'll give you some more details later when I get my chance.
Fantastic. Dwayne, can I ask you the same question? When did you start, and what did you expect? Because if my understanding is correct, you and Mark have actually partnered in your business in order to build a portfolio. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct, Nigel. I started the course in 2020, so I'm in my third year. And what I expected from the program was to bridge that gap between taking deals and connecting them to people with finance or money. And so the EDPF, that was my expectation, to take the deals that I had on the table, but to close it, I didn't have the knowledge or the expertise. So it was to bridge that gap, that knowledge gap. And yeah, that was my expectation. And I must say, I'm getting that support from the EDPF. Yeah.
That's fantastic to hear. I'm so glad that we actually were able to, other than Mark who wanted a house for free, we were able to meet your expectations, which is fantastic. I'm so glad that we were able to do that. Yolanda, same question to you. You are now a first year, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, fresh out of class. So I started in Feb this year, and my expectation was just to get to know what I don't know. Like you think, oh, I'm just going to go buy a house and rent it out and then it's going to make money. But then when you start, then you're just like, oh, there's so much knowledge that's just, it's not given to you. So you have to go out and find it. And I think I've definitely found it.
That's fantastic. I mean, you actually amaze me, because just like with Brent as well, who's a first year, we've had some conversations one-on-one, and I very quickly realized that actually you already have what you need. All you needed to do was identify it, and then actually access the opportunity that was available to you already. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. I see Kanya Ngonyama has joined us as well. Welcome, Kanya. We'll get to you as soon as possible. But just quickly, Brent, you are also first year, am I correct?
That's correct, yes, Nigel. Also started.
What was your expectation?
Yeah, no, look, it was, of course, to learn how to start a property portfolio. And also just to educate myself further on property as a whole, because what I found is that, I mean, you read all these books all the years, and you see what guys do and what people do, but then you yourself are also, you're still lost, because there's this missing piece of, okay, so this guy bought it through a company, property through a company, but how did he actually go about it? Who did he speak to? How do you go about your tax? So EDPF has kind of, it's bridging those gaps, so to say. So yeah, no, I'm loving it this far.
Fantastic. I'm so glad to hear that. Kanisile, same question to you. You started, I think, last year, if I'm not mistaken. And what were your expectations of the program?
Yes, so I started last year. And my expectations was simply that I had a project, but I didn't have a property business. So I really wanted to move from having just one project to really having a property business. Those were my expectations. And I think, secondly, I really just wanted to be around people who were speaking the same language, supporting each other in the space.
All right, fantastic. And I think you definitely have found that. You found people who, like you say, speak your language, but also are there readily available to support you in building your portfolio, because ultimately that's what we're here for, is to help you to build your portfolio. So I'm glad that you found a group of people that have that same sort of outlook in life. All right, Kanya Ngonyama, you've joined us now after we started, but the first question that I've asked everybody, which I'm going to ask you as well, is how long you've been in the program. If I'm not mistaken, you've been here since 2020. And what did you expect when you joined the EDPF Academy?
Yes, Nigel, you are correct. I joined since 2020, and my expectation was that it's going to be more like just online courses, just learning and just doing only the online courses, and then after doing each course, just getting a certificate. But my expectations have been exceeded, because the support in obviously getting the financial, raising the finance for property deals, that's the part that has exceeded my expectations, and also being around other like-minded property entrepreneurs.
Fantastic, fantastic. It's a pity that, I mean, with most of you guys, you started 2020, 2021, and now 2022. We've come through this phase of being under lockdown, and unfortunately, that meant that we couldn't meet one-on-one, face-to-face. But we have had quite a bit of engagement via Zoom and Google Meets and so on. Lots of webinars where we could at least connect with one another. And even with Mark and Dwayne, as an example, Mark's a 2019 candidate, Dwayne's a 2020 candidate, but together they've actually started a business. So I just want to quickly catch up with you, Mark and Dwayne, about that. How did you find each other? And how did you come to create a company together in order to actually get your portfolio going? Dwayne, let's ask you first.
Oh, so I don't know if you remember, Nigel, I think it was in 2020, I was invited to a seminar, I think one of Anton's seminars, where they discussed the strategy of how you set up your entity with a trust and able to then leverage 100% bond finance at the bank. So I had this idea of being 3 or 4 guys within a company to increase our affordability, which I then did. But then I shortly found out that it's not as simple as just buying 100 or getting 100% or 110% bond finance. We still needed some capital.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was discussing the business with Mark, and he came along and he brought some capital along, and then that's how we basically teamed up and then started looking at deals, and we obviously then closed our first deal. The second deal fell through, but yeah, that's actually how we came or how we formed our business and how we partnered.
Fantastic. So Mark, your business, you structured in a way where there's a trust involved, there's a company involved, and then you started buying properties. Tell us a little bit about that structure and how that came about.
Yeah, I actually I was very fortunate that Dwayne had actually started that process with Anton, and when I came in, the trust was set up, and we started the company, and all the shares in the company is actually in the trust. None of us are shareholders in the company, are sitting in the trust. So we're still busy with the amendments. In fact, that I'm going to become a beneficiary and a shareholder in the trust. That's what I learned from the EDPF, by the way, Dwayne too. You know, you need to safeguard yourself, and we put this stuff in the trust. So all the shares are laying in the trust.
Fantastic.
Oh, by the way, I met Dwayne. I met Dwayne when he came for his orientation in first year, and I saw him sitting there looking lost. So I went up to him and I said, "Hi, you know, I was buyer for Bara." So I went up and said, "Hi." So and it just started.
Fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so just for those who don't know, Anton is one of our lecturers. We've got 27 volunteer lecturers that work in the EDPF program that teach anything from property management to how to raise capital, legal aspects of property, due diligence, feasibility studies, all of that sort of thing. 27 lecturers who work voluntarily in the EDPF program, and Anton is just one of those guys who has blessed the EDPF with their time and help our students to do all sorts of things like structuring their deals, structuring their company, and so on. So Kanya, let's jump to you. You had a portfolio when you started with the EDPF, and you are now busy building onto that portfolio by growing your company. So I think you had something like 7 or 8 properties before, and you are now busy finalizing 2 other deals where you're going to add another 7 million rands worth of properties to your portfolio. Tell us how that's going.
Yes, Nigel. So when I started off, I actually had 7 apartments before I joined EDPF. But ever since now I joined, I'm currently now going into the multi-let space and also into the student housing space. So what happened is that about a month after joining EDPF, as you may remember, there was a block of flats in Terrefontaine, Joburg, which is a deal that has been concluded, but the transfer is currently happening now as we speak. And also there was also a student building in Port Elizabeth where the funding for it has just been approved by TAF. So that will also be going through soon. So I started off like just being like in your sectional titles, but I realized that the problem with sectional titles, yes, it's a good way to start as an investor, but the levies can actually lessen your profits. Hence why I'm going into multi-lets.
Yeah, that's a true story that you've got there in terms of the fact that having a property that is within a complex where you actually don't have control over the entire complex, those levies can become very heavy and very expensive and cut into your cash flow when you purchase them. So your sort of flip from going into single residential within a complex into the multi-let kind of scenario where you're buying, one example, where you're buying a block of flats with 10 units in it, you're actually buying the entire block, which is phenomenal. And we at the EDPF are helping you to do that. So I mean, as always, we're glad to be part of that journey where we're allowing you or helping you to not only structure the deal, but to also raise the capital. Kanisile, when you started with us, you were nearly complete in a process of building a block of 66 units. Tell us a little bit about the support you've received from the Gauteng Partnership Fund and how that's been going since you joined the EDPF.
Okay, great, wonderful. In 2013, the EEPF, which is the Emerging Property Developer Program, I applied around 2013, 2012, 2013, but it had probably opened about 2 or 3 years before that. And I was a successful applicant in 2013, but I really didn't get a deal going until about 2014, 2015. It took me a while to find the right property that was affordable, but eventually I found a property on auction in Benoni. And it fitted my budget, and so I bought in Benoni, and then I went back to the GPF, the Gauteng Partnership Fund, to apply, and I was successful. So initially, when we were taken onto the program, we were meant to do deals of about 15 million rand. But I think the idea at the time was that GPF would hold my hand for a bigger deal because, you know, it was quite a large space. It was 3,400 square meters and it allowed 66 units. So that's how I really then went on to do what is in my mind a mega deal, which was the 66 units. And yeah, it's just been an incredibly amazing journey, a very challenging journey. And I've had all sorts of challenges. For instance, there were almost 2 years when my contractor did not have money to continue with the building. In hindsight, I think if I was already in the EDPF program, we would have then launched a legal play around replacing the contractor, but it didn't happen. And so it delayed the project. And when I was then done with the project about a year ago, the municipal regulations around fire had changed. And so then I really needed your help, Nigel, and that of the EDPF to then move, you know, the transaction along. And yeah, I think we would need a whole hour to discuss all the challenges, but I think we're almost there. We're almost there with the project, yeah.
But I think also, I mean, at the end of the day now, we, in fact, not even a week or two ago, we finalized with the Gauteng Partnership Fund that they would extend your facility, that they would capitalize the interest that has built up over this period because of this delay with the municipality, that they, in fact, actually then secured a meeting with the municipality to try and resolve this issue. And hopefully in the next 4 to 6 weeks, you'll be able to get your occupational certificate. Am I correct?
Yes, indeed. That is the plan. Yeah, because you know, with that occupational certificate, at least we can start tenanting and trying to, because it's a lovely building, it's ready. It just needs the occupational certificate.
No,
yeah,
for sure, absolutely. Look, I've seen pictures. I haven't been there myself, but I've seen pictures, and it is absolutely beautiful. And I think you're going to be hugely successful once you get your occupation certificate. Okay, guys, so we're going to take a bit of a break for a minute just to pay the bills, and then we'll be back shortly after this. Welcome back, everybody, and we are here today with some of our students on the Enterprise Development Property Fund program. Thanks to Private Property for their support over the last 10 weeks. As we wrap up today, we wish to again congratulate both Matt L. and Jared for the successful journey that they've had with us over the last 50 days. Right now, we are busy talking to 6 of our students who have been in the program since from 2019 until, in fact, this year, we've got 2 new students, Brent and Yolanda. And those students are here with us today, just talking about their journey, what they expected from the EDPF and where they are now. So we've already quickly caught up with Mark and Dwayne in terms of where they are at, Kanya as well as Kanisili. But right now, I just want to chat with Brent and Yolanda because they are brand new in the program. They've only been with us for about 2 or 3 months. And already, both of them have secured some deals or structure where they would be able to generate income from a property portfolio, if not immediately, within the next couple of months or maybe even a year or so. So let's start with Brent this time. Brent, we had a conversation not so long ago where we won't mention your company's name, but you work for a company that does developments. And we were talking about you not being able to find the right deals. And I said something to you about the deal sitting right under your nose. If you recall that conversation, maybe just give us a brief of what it is you then did.
Okay, so a long story short, I work for a property development company, and my company is currently doing a development out in Somerset West. So yeah, it has always been, it is a challenge to find the correct deal, to find, you know, something that you can afford to buy. And after my conversation with Nigel just brought it up to me. He asked what I did. He asked me what developers busy with, and then he said, okay, why don't you just have a chat with your director and ask if you could get a deal. And the deal is securing one of our units at cost price. So I initially, I won't lie, was quite skeptical. I actually, after my Zoom call with Nigel, I gave my director a call, and I asked him the question out straight. Look, are you willing to give me one of the units at cost price? And I was surprised he actually said yes. So yes, that will be taking place. We're starting with construction end of April. So yeah, this year, that will be one of the deals that I will be securing. And yeah, maybe it will actually be my first property.
You know, I'm just so glad. So it really warms my heart that just in one conversation with you, we were able to see and secure a deal. In fact, I remember that day when we were on the Zoom call and you said your boss was going overseas or something the next day. So I said, well, there's no time to waste. Let's stop this call, go talk to him now. And then you WhatsApp me later to say the deal's done. You got one of the properties. So I'm just so glad that we were able to be part of that journey as well, where you are now within a couple of months of being in the program, you've already secured your first deal. And hopefully that will just help you to grow from strength to strength, because once that development is done, most likely, because you got it at cost, when it's complete, that property will probably be worth about 40% more than what you bought it for. So you can either sell it, take the profit, and then make your next deal happen, or leverage it in order to then take the capital there, the equity that is left in it, in order to then go and do your next deal. So instead of selling and buying and one more, you can actually use the equity to buy a second property and start building your portfolio rather than starting your portfolio over again. So I'm very glad that we were part of that deal as well. So congratulations on that. So let's jump to Yolanda. Yolanda, you and I also had such a similar conversation, except that your properties were actually already in your hands, and that I told you to do something else. Just give us a brief of what that conversation was about, and where you are at with that process at the moment.
So I actually had I bought land in 2014 with the normal, this is what people do. You buy land, you be like, I'll build my retirement house there one day. And then obviously I'm far from retirement. So I was like, it's still there. But we're actually going to start developing that land to let, so that it can start generating money and me not just paying the rates every month and be like, oh, it's fine, it's paid for, it's okay. There's also different pockets of land that I discovered through the EDPF, that you can actually build more than one house on one property. So using that idea, there's lots of homes available with big backyards. And so we are going to delve into that space with, can I say the name of the company that you gave me?
If you want to,
So I'm going to be in contact with BitProp just to see what that structure is about and how we can actually go about developing places for people that's affordable to live in, whether it's a backyard development or starting a whole new development on a random piece of land that the council's not doing anything on.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, no, BitProp is one of those organizations that support the EDPF program. We've got 56 such companies that either support through services or funding like BitProp does. Everybody who's on the program have access to these companies, whether it be quantity surveyors, town planners, architects, lawyers, accountants, tax consultants. You guys have access to all of those people at a hugely discounted rate. And in some cases, they don't even charge for the services that they give you. So I'm very glad that we could at least give you that kind of support. And hopefully that will allow you to build not just on this one piece of land that you've got, but on many such properties. I know you, for example, with your sister, you've also got a family piece of land with a building on it that we spoke about possibly building on there as well, and many other opportunities that you potentially have. So while I have you now, let's ask you the next question. So what is going to be your strategy? And I think because of time, we're going to end with this question for everybody. Now that you've been in the program for a couple of months, couple of years with the rest of the guys, what is your strategy going forward? What are you going to pursue from an investment perspective? So
I'm going to start with buy to let, but with the eventual, like the end goal is going to be develop to either develop to sell or develop to let. It depends on how the world goes. But I definitely do want to get into building affordable houses in spaces that people actually need to be. So if you work 60 kilometers away from home, there's a piece of land close to where you are.
No, for sure.
I can build your house for you to live.
Awesome. Brent, your strategy going forward?
Well, yeah, no. Literally, my main thing is just going to be focusing on cash flow. So single residential will then later focus on multi-lets. Commercial space, of course, is like everyone knows, is standing a bit still at the moment. But yeah, ultimately becoming a full-time property investor and developer. So where I am currently working to do that on a larger scale. Focusing on low-cost housing, focusing actually across the entire array, low-cost housing, or so to say, houses for our middle class as well. And yeah, I don't think I'll probably move into the upper class, but yeah, focus on middle and lower class housing.
Awesome. That's a good strategy to be in, because that sort of area or range between sort of the 450 and 1.4 million rand, that's really where you want to be, because that's where the huge demand is at the moment. So fantastic, and I'll be happy to help you in that journey to achieve your goals as well. Kanya, what is your sort of strategy for the future? I know you're now moving into multi-lets, but we also spoke about possibly going into some commercial as well.
Yes, Nigel. So my strategy, besides now just building the multi-let business as it is and scaling it up with a particular focus on student accommodation, but the plan is also to go into development, especially now. Thanks to you, EDPF, you mentioned that the DBSA is actually looking to increase the student housing stock in South Africa. So the plan now, after just growing the current multi-let portfolio, will be to say to estate agents, please find me a plot of land not too far from a university, and then obviously I would like to prepare a proposal with the help of EDPF so that we can get the funding from DBSA. So that is the current strategy going forward. And also, when you also introduced us last year to Absa Future Rental Income, they will also be in the picture when it comes to scaling the current multi-let business.
Fantastic. That is awesome. Okay, Kanisile, I know where you're going because you want to build plenty of these blocks of flats, hopefully with the help of Gauteng Partnership Fund and other institutions. But give us a clear understanding. What is your strategy going forward?
So my strategy is also affordable housing. I'd like to be as close to the inner cities as possible, even in the inner city itself. You know, I'm not sure if I have the stomach right now to do a greenfield, but I would love to do a conversion. Even if, you know, it's about 100 units at once, but I'd just love to do a brownfield. Yeah, so really that's where I'm going, multi-let. I'd love to look at student accommodation. I thought after COVID, that market was done for, but it's interesting to hear that it's growing again and there's demand. So yeah, I'm going to look at opportunities there.
Fantastic. The amazing thing about student accommodation, there's always 500,000 beds short. So there's always demand in the student accommodation space, which is fantastic. Dwayne, your strategy, I would assume that your strategy is interlinked with Mark's because of your company, but what is your strategy going forward?
So our strategy is with the current business that we have is to do multi-lets. We initially wanted to do buy-to-let, but we're discovering, we prefer the cash flow that the multi-let offers you. So that would be our strategy in terms of that business. And with regards to the other business, we're looking at, I would say, affordable housing and student housing as well. And then obviously trying to put a project together for DBSA. We want to be the first guys in Cape Town.
Fantastic. Mark, you guys are busy working on a project in Mitchell's Plain as well. So affordable housing sort of is your thing at the moment. Is that going to be your strategy going forward, or do you have something else in mind?
You've created a monster, Nigel. With you opening up my eyes and having my back, you know, I've got confidence to go into bloody anything. Sorry, into everything or anything. But at the moment, you know, the sourcing, that's what we're doing at the moment in Mitchell's Plain, DBSA, multi-let, anything. If there's an opportunity, we are willing to tackle it because, you know, you've got our back. If you're in doubt, call Nigel. If you aren't sure, call Nigel.
And I think on that note, thank you very much, everybody. Mark, Dwayne, Yolanda, Kanisile, Kanya, and Brent for joining us on this wrap-up of the 50-day challenge on our final week and our final wrap-up. Thank you again to Matt Al and Jared Ricketts, who has been part of this journey for the last 10 weeks. And thank you most especially to Private Property for supporting us in this program and for allowing us this platform to speak to the public about how you too can start your property journey in 50 days. If you want to know any more, join us on our website, www.edpfpropertyacademy.com, where you can there's some free training there, or you can join the academy and get your Huawei 10-inch tablet with 20 gigs of data per month and all the learning, hundreds of hours of learning, and as well as support services, access to opportunities, and access to finance. For the last time, this is Nigel Adrianza of the EDPF Property Academy signing off for the 50-day property challenge, and good luck to you as you build your property portfolio. Sadly, we've come to the end of the EDPF 50-day property challenge, brought to you by EDPF Property Academy and Private Property. We've run our competition again, and the winner for this last round is Kumeshni Govinsamy. Congratulations, Kumeshni, and welcome to the EDPF Property Academy family. What you have won is access to the EDPF Academy, support services, our 10-inch Huawei tablet, and 20 gigs of data for 3 full years. As you enjoy your experience with us, we are hopefully going to be able to help you to build your own property portfolio. But for those of you guys out there that have been watching faithfully, thank you for being with us. Thank you for enjoying these 50 days with us. And we hope that you also have started your journey into property investment. For the very last time, this is Nigel Adriaanse saying goodbye on behalf of the EDPF Property Academy and Private Property.